The Honourable Ruth Dyson.
Mr Speaker, I'm delighted at this peak listening time to have the opportunity to speak in opposition to the KiwiSaver Budget Measures Bill. Mr Speaker, this is clearly the result of the panic that Bill English went into when he got into his final preparation for the budget and realised that there was going to be, yet again, for the 7th year in a row, no surplus. He did everything he could to try and get some money together, and some of those measures were understandable. Some of them I feel so strongly opposed to that I'll be putting my vote against the bill, and this is included in this one that we're debating now. For many people, they will never have the opportunity to have $1,000 in their savings account. And it's sickening, actually, to hear members opposite who earn $150,000 a year, and all I've done for the last 3 days is stood up and said, I move that the question be now put. And for that, they earn $150,000 a year, and additional expenses on top of that, of course. And yet we have people who, when we leave tonight, will come in and clean our offices, who earn less than $15 an hour and are expected to keep their families on that sort of income. So, Mr Speaker, for those people who work as hard or harder than every member of Parliament, having the opportunity to have $1,000 put in their savings account once they start contributing a little bit of money that they have, and some of them don't have spare, they've had to cut something to put money in their KiwiSaver account. To have those people have that $1,000 taken away from them, but even more galling, to have the members of the National Party laugh and say that's a good thing, I think is wrong, Mr Speaker. I don't agree with it as policy. I think it lacks vision, it lacks compassion, and it lacks any empathy at all with understanding how many members of our society have that inability to save for their future, which, you know, when you're on $150,000 a year, you just take it for granted. But if you're on $14 or $15 an hour, you're not able to put that money aside for your future. That's a sort of vision that we should have for older New Zealanders. That's the sort of vision that we should have, so that we would like to see older New Zealanders being able to retire and have security in their income and more than just the basic superannuation. We've got a better superannuation scheme in New Zealand than many other countries, but a married couple still only get 66% of the average wage as their total superannuation income. And I would challenge members of the opposition to try and live on that without any other saving, or our opposition, without any other saving to fall back on. For day-to-day living, it's okay, but when something goes wrong, when your roof needs replacing, when your washing machine breaks down, when you need to fix your car, big expenditure items, and if there's no money in the bank, those are the people that suffer. Mr Speaker, that's why I have always supported that kickstart payment being made to people who join KiwiSaver. KiwiSaver itself was a fantastic scheme, and I want to pay credit to Dr Michael Cullen for his vision in saying we need to change the savings culture in New Zealand, and this was his way of doing it. Since it's been introduced, we have seen year after year after year of the National-led government cuts to the integrity of the KiwiSaver scheme. Every opportunity Bill English and John Key have had, they have weakened what was a very strong scheme, weakened the integrity of the KiwiSaver scheme. The minimum member contribution was reduced. We've had the fee subsidy discontinued, the compulsory employer contribution capped, the employer tax credit discontinued. So this isn't, we've suddenly decided to weaken the KiwiSaver scheme. This measure tonight that's in the KiwiSaver Budget Measures Bill was a desperate attempt to try and cobble together a little bit of extra money to make the surplus, but
I'm sorry to interrupt the member. The time has come for me to leave the chair. I want to thank the House for the collegiality of the debate and the spirit in which people have engaged tonight, and we must admit we've all learned an awful lot, specifically about the King of Belgium. Nō reira, tēnā koutou. Oh, sorry, House is suspended until 9 a.m. tomorrow. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.